there, and welcome to today's talk all about living an aligned life. And the first question is, what is an aligned life? And perhaps one of the best illustrations I can give you is what isn't an aligned life. So, you know, like when your car is out of alignment and the wheels aren't tracked properly, you're trying to drive along in a straight line, but it keeps veering to the left or veering to the right because that's the way the wheels are aligned. In the same way, if you're not living an aligned life, then you are following a path, but you keep being pulled off. And it's about being out of balance. And if you're not living an aligned life, you will be feeling unfulfilled. Then that's a sure sign that your life is not fully aligned with who you are, because when you are living an aligned life, it is in line with who you are at your core values, and what you really love to do. And that's really what it's all about. And once you get yourself back in alignment, you will start to feel fulfilled, which is, after all, what most of us want. So, for example, if you're somebody who values independence and you're in a job that is really restrictive of that independence and that freedom, then you're not going to feel right. You're going to feel that something's off in your life because your independence is being constrained, and that's not what your inner self wants. If you're a country lover, but you've spent years in the city, again, you're going to feel off because it's not what your soul and your inner self wants to do and to where it wants to be. If sustainability is something that's really important to you, then if you're not using eco-friendly products, again, you're not living a sustainable life, so you're going to feel that something's out of whack again. So how do you live an aligned life? Well, the first thing I would say, if you haven't already done it, is to get really clear about what your core values are. So the values that you want to live by. And it might sound simple, but a lot of us haven't actually gone through that exercise. And we might feel that we know what they are, but when we're asked to say them, sometimes we're a bit stumped. So one of the exercises I do with my clients is to go through with them what their values are. And for those people who are finding it difficult, I have a very long list of value words that they can go through and have a look at, the ones that resonate for them. So that's something that you could do for yourself. You could probably find a list on the internet somewhere of what value words are. But if you don't want to do it that way, just really set aside some time for some deep reflection, some proper introspection. And it might sound a bit self-indulgent, but it actually isn't, because it's the foundation for everything. If you don't know what your values are, you're never going to be able to live an aligned life unless it's something that you're already doing, in which case I guess you wouldn't be watching this. So find out what your core values are. There'll be a few of them, maybe about 5 or 6. You may have more, but even if you get a long list of things and you think, oh yeah, that's important to me, just try and whittle it down to the 5 or 6 that are truly the most important to you, the things that you think, yeah, I don't want to live any other way than by these values. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to do what you love. Now, I talk about this all of the time. And when I say do what you love, in an ideal world, we'd be able to do work that we love, but the world isn't always ideal. And sometimes we have to do work we don't love in order to fund the things we do love. But you can do a split. It is possible to, as I did for a while when I was setting up my business here in Devon, do a paid job as an employee that wasn't something I particularly loved, but I didn't mind it, which enabled me to do the work that I really loved. And that's very common. You could even doesn't have to be a temporary arrangement. You could do it for years, because as long as you're happy with the thing that you're doing to bring you the income, which enables you to have free rein to do the thing that you love. But if you can do work that you love all the time, then fantastic. But the other part of doing what you love is to make sure that you include activities in your day that are things that you love. And I'm talking aside from work. And that's really important. Those are things that you do for fun, for you, for joy. And there could be lots of things that you love to do. There probably are. You know, we're all very different. As an example, on Sunday, I did at least 2. I think I did 3. Now, these won't be things for everybody, but you see, I love gardening. That is something for me. I know lots of people see it as a chore, but I love it. And I did some gardening out in the sunshine. I also did some bodyboarding, which is another thing that I love. Oh, and I went for a walk in nature as well, another thing that I love. Now, that was lucky. I had a lot of time on Sunday where I could do 3 things that I love to do. Not always possible, but you can do small things that you love to do. Yours might be having a coffee with a friend. You know, we do that kind of thing all the time. We don't necessarily think of it as something we love to do. We just do it, perhaps instinctively. But there'll be other smaller things that you love to do that you can incorporate into your everyday life. So if you're somebody who loves to exercise, but it's been kind of squeezed out by the busyness of your life, you can bring it back in short bursts. You can just spend 10 minutes doing some Pilates or some yoga in the morning, and that 10 minutes of something you love will inspire you for, you know, the rest of the day, because you are doing something that brings you joy, brings you happiness. And then the final thing I was going to talk to you about is about getting back in touch with your inner child. So we all have our inner child still within us, the child that we once were, and that child wants to play. And it's related to what I just said about doing something you love. But often we've forgotten the things that we loved to do as a child. And when we bring those things back in some form in our lives, then it really ignites us from the inside and brings us joy and puts us back in alignment, because we do them as children because those are the things that are really meaningful to us, the things we find fun, the things we find magical. You may not want to do them all. You may want to do some of them in different forms. But again, just as an example, I always loved dancing when I was little. I wanted to be a dancer as a profession. Wasn't possible because I wasn't able to go to dance classes. But, you know, finally, but I've always danced, you know, every opportunity at parties and what have you. And then finally last year, I was able to do training to be a Jacquard dance teacher, which I now love to teach, and I'll be doing it again tonight. And it's just an example of bringing my life back into alignment, drawing back a part of my inner child into my adult world, which helps to enable me to live a life in alignment with who I really am, excuse me. So it's pretty simple, really. It's about living in accordance with your values and doing what you love to do. And when you get those bits in your life, and a final one I forgot actually, which is to spend time with like-minded people. That's really important, because if you're spending time with lots of people who don't really share your values, then you're going to feel out of whack again. It's fine to spend a bit of time with them, because obviously not everybody you meet will. So, where did I get to? Yes, when you know your values, you live by your values, you do the things that you love to do, you will find that you will be living an aligned life and you will be feeling fulfilled. And that's what's often missing from our lives, is that fulfillment. So see how you get on with that. See if it makes a difference to you. I hope you should find that it does if you have been living out of alignment. and I'd love to hear about it if that works for you. So thanks as always for watching. I will be back here next Tuesday morning, and in the meantime, have a fabulous day. Bye bye.